St. Maximus the Confessor, 10 chapters on virtue and vice. Abstract AB. The work, 10 chapters on virtue and vice, was written in 634. It is a compilation of the works of St. Maximus the Confessor. The central theme of the work is the significance of suffering and exploits in the spiritual life of man. St. Maximus writes that the life of a Christian is a constant arena of struggle between virtue and envy, vice. He emphasizes that spiritual endeavor, ascetic work, is a constant struggle through labors that leads to the attainment of dispassion, a special state of the soul in which, cleansed of passions, it unites with God through love, and is freed from attachment to the body and the world. The saint understands suffering not as punishment, but as a means of cleansing the soul from the filth of sin and growing in virtue. A Christian's suffering is not meaningless torment, but a participation in the suffering of Christ himself. Just as God, having become man, endured in the flesh, so the believer, by compassion for him, is deemed worthy to share in his glory. Romans 8:17. The parallel between Adam, who lost paradise through pleasure, and Christ, who discovered paradise through torment, reveals the redemptive meaning of suffering. St. Maximus emphasizes that God heals the ailments of the soul not with a single universal remedy, but selects for each person an individual medicine, the suffering and trials that are necessary for healing and spiritual growth. This reveals the infinite mercy and wisdom of God's providence. Only a soul steadfast in trials is capable of accepting God's presence. 1. The grave sufferings of the saints are the arena of struggle between envy and virtue. Envy, in order to prevail, persists, while virtue, in order to remain unconquered, endures everything. Envy fights to ensure that vice flourishes through the punishment of those who excel in virtue, while virtue resists so that good people may persevere, even in the midst of grave misfortunes and suffering. 2. The struggle of virtue is a constant struggle in labors, and to those who endure them courageously, it brings a crown of victory, dispassion of soul, thanks to which, united with God through love, it withdraws in its inner state from the body and the world. For bodily torments strengthen the soul of the steadfast. 3. Originally swindled by the allure of pleasure, we preferred death to true life, and so we gratefully endure the bodily labor that mortifies this pleasure, so that by its very end we may abolish death along with it, and receive back life, once sold to pleasure and now redeemed by the lesser labors of the flesh. 4. When the flesh prospers, the power of sin usually increases. Therefore, it is clear that when the flesh suffers, virtue naturally increases, and we must courageously endure the suffering of the flesh, for it cleanses the filthiness of the soul and ensures future glory. For the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory which shall be revealed in us. Rom 8:18-5. Physicians do not heal the body by offering the same medicine to everyone, and God does not heal the illnesses of the soul with only one method of healing, suitable for everyone, but makes people healthy using the medicine suitable for each individual. And we, who are healed, will give thanks to him, even if we happen to endure torment, for blessed is the final goal of healing. 6. Nothing so reveals the soul's inner disposition as the increase of physical suffering. For if the soul yields to them, it shows itself to love the flesh more than God, and if it remains steadfast in their turmoil, it shows itself to esteem virtue more than the flesh. Thanks to this, the soul perceives the presence of God, who endured our sufferings for its sake, and who triumphantly proclaims to it, as he once proclaimed to his disciples, "Be of good cheer, for I have overcome the world." John 16:33. 7. If all the saints were partakers of discipline, then we, who were disciplined together with them, will give thanks to God that we may be deemed worthy to become partakers of their glory. For whom the Lord loves, he disciplines, and scourges every son whom he receives. Chapter 12. 6 Proverbs 3:11-12-8. Adam, having accepted the pleasure offered to him by his rib, led humanity out of paradise, and Christ, through the torment, from the wounds inflicted by the spear, cut through this pleasure and led the thief into paradise. Let us, then, love the torment of the flesh and hate its pleasure. For torment introduces and restores us to divine blessings, but pleasure leads us out and removes us from them. 9. If God, having become man, suffers in the flesh, will not the sufferer rejoice, having God as a partner in suffering? For God secures the kingdom of heaven for those with whom he has compassion. The apostle speaks truly, if indeed we suffer with him, that we may also be glorified with him. Rom 8:17-10. If we must necessarily suffer as a result of the pleasure mixed into human nature by the forefather, Then let us courageously endure temporary sufferings that dull the sting of pleasure in us and free us from the eternal torment that it entails. Source: Selected works of St. Maximus the Confessor. Translator, Introduction, Commentary and Appendix A.I. Sidorov. Moscow: Alumnic, 2004. 493 p. Library of the Fathers and Teachers of the Church. 10 chapters on virtue and vice. 349, 350 p.